I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks. I'm also the host of a radio show called Turning Hard Times into Good Times that airs every Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel. I'm here at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver. It's November 15th, 2019. And I'm really pleased to be with Tony Barresi. He is the president of Triumph Gold. It's a company that I've been following now for a number of years, and a very exciting company, I must say. Tony, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Jay.
Yeah, so you joined the company now just a couple of years ago, I believe, right? Or 3 years ago or so? And you really brought in a new concept, a new geological view of this project, because I had known it in the old days. There was something like 4 million gold equivalent ounces there for the previous operator, but maybe the grades weren't good enough at the price of gold and so forth. But you've taken a really new look at it. Can you talk a little bit about how you're approaching this project now?
Sure, Jay. When I first became involved in the project in 2016, Triumph Gold had decided to take a step back from the work that they'd been doing defining resources. So there's a substantial resource on this property, but it's too low grade to demand a capital investment for a mine and a mill. So the company decided to take a different approach, start looking for something that might be relevant at today's metal prices. And to do that, we had to take a real back to basics, grassroots approach to exploration, because so much of the work had been at a much more developed stage over the years on the property. So we started looking at things like soil anomalies and large geophysical anomalies and that sort of thing that you do in grassroots exploration. What we identified was that there was a previously unrecognized, unexplored for porphyry system on the property in an area that encompasses two of the previous resource areas. So we stepped away from those resource areas, but in the encompassing area, we found a large porphyry system.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about, last year actually, your first phenomenal drill hole, I can't remember the dimensions, it was a really long one, graded over a gram of gold equivalent, I think. Talk to us about what you've done. That was in one location, now you've gone to another. Is it a separate porphyry or one whole porphyry that you think might be down there? Or what are you looking for now?
Right. So the area of interest that we're looking in is a 6 kilometer long area that has multi-element, very intense soil anomaly. And so the footprint of what we're looking for is about 6 kilometers long.
Wow.
We've stepped away from those resource areas within that 6 kilometer area and drill tested about 6 different locations and looking for this porphyry style mineralization that we hypothesized was there. And in each of those locations, we found it. In some places, it's low grade. In other places, it's very high grade. So last year we made an incredible intersection, 300 meters of about a gram gold and 0.3% copper. And then there was a really high grade contained interval in that 80 meters of 2.5 grams gold and almost 0.4% copper. And that's the highest grade porphyry mineralization that's ever been discovered in Yukon. The thing is, though, that what we're looking at here isn't a typical version of a porphyry system. A regular porphyry system, the ones that most people have been exploring, are ones that are exposed right at surface. The level of erosion coincides with the porphyry deposit itself. In our case, and most of those have been discovered, they're much easier to discover than a buried system. But we're looking at what we think is a buried system, and these areas where we have the high-grade mineralization are little pipes that are coming up from the buried porphyry system.
Breccia pipes that you talk about.
That's right. So, when in the porphyry world, most of the low-hanging fruit is already picked. The porphyries that are at surface have been found. And so you have to be creative, and you have to be able to use your geological imagination to see environments where there might be one that's not exposed at surface. And we've done that. And now we've shown that that is actually the case by finding these high-level expressions of it at surface, but also through new drilling we did this year in 2019 where we actually nailed right into the thing.
Into the porphyry.
That's right.
Now, these Breccia pipes that you've intersected, are they themselves potentially commercial, do you think?
Absolutely. So these things are high grade, much higher grade than your typical porphyry system. So we're looking at material that grades some averages somewhere around 1% copper equivalent. And that's the kind of grade that, when it comes to porphyries, would be amenable to even underground mining, which is much more expensive. But some of the stuff we're finding at surface as well, so it would be open pittable. The volume of rock that it looks like we're defining that is high grade is certainly something that could be fit into a significant resource. We haven't done that work yet, but it's coming up.
Well, I think you're also on the hunt for some more of these Breccia pipes and some more locations in pursuit of the porphyry, right?
That's right. So, Breccia pipes are the kind of thing that occur in clusters. There's seldomly just one Breccia pipe. So when we started working on this property, there were 3 known Breccia pipes that were spread out over about 34 kilometers. And then just looking at one of those areas, in the last 3 years, we discovered 2 more high-grade Breccia pipes. And so we're learning how to explore for these things. And we're going to use that information that we're getting from discovering them to discover more.
Wow. So you're still trying to figure out how many of these things you have and what the major, how big this footprint is, I guess, and then probably later on start to prove up a resource, or maybe there's some other people that are interested in you even before you get to that point. I don't know.
That's right.
I think you probably have, some majors that are quite interested in what you're doing there.
That's right. And, our largest shareholder is Newmont Gold Corp.
Right.
So, yeah, we definitely have majors on board.
Yeah. So let me ask you, the 4 million ounces that were there before you came aboard, you mentioned at least that gold prices then, they weren't economic. Gold prices, of course, are somewhat higher. Do you think there's some economic potential for those ounces on surface sometime in the future?
Yeah, so, it's always, even if you have a resource that's not economic under today's metal prices, it's nice to have that metal in the ground, because as the prices of the commodities go up, the economics of the deposit can become more favorable. So you could look at our company solely from the point of view of that as an optionality play on gold or copper. Yep.
So you've added to your team. I know you're building up your talent among geologists that are there, and you're planning next year. How soon will we know what your plans are for 2020?
Well, we'll be doing a financing sometime in the new year, and the program that we do next year will be contingent on that financing. We have a couple of different exploration opportunities that we can attack next year. One of them is to continue to look for this deep porphyry system. We had some great success with that 2019, but that's very expensive exploration.
Long drill holes.
That's right. And so we may not continue to do the deep exploration. We'll save that story and maybe let a major take over the role of doing that style of exploration. But we have a wealth of other opportunities on the property, including looking for these near-surface high-grade Breccia pipes. But we also have another whole area on the property that we've been quietly advancing, and we think that it has a tremendous amount of potential for porphyry-style mineralization and also for epithermal vein mineralization. So we're looking at deploying some capital onto that part of the property.
More manageable for a junior and not as expensive, and more value added per dollar spent. I guess that's the idea, right?
That's right.
Anything else you'd like to tell us? I mean, what sort of, do you have any drill holes, any information? I guess really, what are drivers that investors might be looking forward to in the next 30 seconds or so, if you can tell us that?
Yeah, so catalysts for movement in the stock price. We still have 3 drill holes from this summer that have not yet been released.
Okay.
We did exploration on another property that we have, doing a soil sampling program. I think we'll have good results from that. And we also explored for this epithermal vein system just through trenching and prospecting, and we'll be putting out results about that.
Wonderful. So lots to keep our eyes on going forward
Absolutely.
in 2020. Happy times again for Triumph Gold. I guess things are really looking up. Thank you so much, Tony.
It's my pleasure, Jay.
Really great story. Thank you.